Wenlock Goldfield is a heritage-listed mine in Archer River, Shire of Cook, Queensland, Australia. It was built from 1892 to 1950s. It is also known as Batavia Goldfield and Lower Camp, Wenlock. It was added to the Queensland Heritage Register on 3 March 2006. History: Wenlock Goldfield, formerly Batavia Goldfield, and the settlement of Lower Camp are situated along the eastern bank of the Wenlock River on Cape York Peninsula, about 100 kilometers north of Cowan. The Batavia Goldfield was proclaimed in 1892, following discovery of gold at Retreat Creek, a tributary of the Wenlock. In subsequent years, camps known as Bairdesville, Top Camp, Plutoville, and Lower Camp, Wenlock, were established and supplied from Cowan. The settlement of Lower Camp was formed after Kitty Pluto discovered gold there in 1915. It became the main township on the Batavia Goldfield in the 1930s and was officially named Wenlock in 1938. It is around this time also that the Batavia Goldfield became known as the Wenlock Goldfield. Alluvial gold had been discovered on the Cape York Peninsula as early as 1876, on the Cowan River, after attention was drawn to the region by the Palmer Goldfield. A small rush ensued in 1878, although this soon dissipated. By the late 1880s a small township had been formed at Cowan. In 1892 the Cowan Goldfield was proclaimed officially and reefing work commenced. Although production totals paled in comparison with fields such as the Palmer. Within the next few years the erection of batteries and a cyanide works at Cowan gave the Northern Peninsula a permanent base for prospecting expeditions. Gold was found on the Starkey River in 1890, at Batavia, Wenlock in 1892, Ebegula in 1899 and Patala in 1902. Following William Baird's discovery of gold at Retreat Creek in 1892, a 13 square kilometers area around the camp of Bairdesville was proclaimed as the Batavia Goldfield. Output for 1892 to 1893 was an estimated 2,000 ounces of alluvial gold worth £4 per ounce. Miners continued prospecting the area. In 1906 gold was discovered at the tunnel, 2 kilometers northeast of Lower Camp. The discovery of gold at Plutoville, Top Camp, by an Aborigine named Pluto in 1910 was suppressed, to allow Cowan and Ebegula miners first choice of the ground, and a rush did not take place until mid-1911. Despite being so close to the workings at Top Camp, Plutoville, gold was not discovered at Lower Camp until January 1915 when an Aboriginal woman, Kitty Pluto, accidentally discovered a nugget while carting surface wash from Top Camp, Plutoville, to the Wenlock. Both Top Camp and Lower Camp workings are situated on the east bank of the Wenlock River, close to the edge of a low Mesozoic sandstone tableland rising above the workings. However, the main center remained at Plutoville, Top Camp, from 1911 to 1922. Stores owned by Den, Armbrust and Shepherd traded at Top Camp. The original shallow alluvial area at Lower Camp covered less than 0.4 hectares, and by 1916 most miners either had returned to Plutoville, prospecting the surrounding countryside, or had left the region altogether. In 1922, a group of miners attempted to locate the main leader's northern extension beneath the mantle of Mesozoic sediments. After sinking several shafts, they came across an auriferous lead at a depth of 5.4 meters and at a distance of 20 meters from a reef, which provided rich specimen stone. From then until the late 1930s, the Lower Camp was in constant production and has officially returned a yield of 35,016 ounces of gold. The most productive area was confined to deeper ground to 25 meters and contained within the New Year's gift, prohibitionist Double Chance, Band of Hope, Golden Casket and Hidden Treasure claims, all of which were later converted into general mining leases. The Batavia was the most productive goldfield in Cape York during the economic depression of the early 1930s, with 6 payable mines. In 1932 it produced 2,793 ounces of recorded gold valued at £9,287, compared to 3,342 ounces valued at £11,114 in 1931. The use of motor lorries greatly assisted operations on the field. 2 batteries had been established by the end of 1931 to crush the 1-ounce stone. One of these was Forsyth's, formerly at Belmore Creek near Croydon, which had been shifted to the Batavia field in November 1931. Peninsula Mines Limited had taken over 2 leases at the beginning of 1932. 2 boarding houses were established at Lower Camp during 1932 with 75 people on the field. A crude oil engine-driven Huntington mill began work in November 1932. Shepherd erected a 6-head stamped battery driven by suction gas. The Peninsula Mines Limited was using an oil engine-driven boring plant. By 1935 the yield was 1,326 ounces of gold, more than the previous year. From the New Year's Gift, Golden Casket, Reform, Black Cat, United, Double Chance, Hidden Treasure and Duke leases. By the mid-1930s there was a population of about 160. In 1938 Larson's Consolidated Pty Limited, who were employing 20 men on the Prohibitionist, Winner, Dole, Tin Hare and Rose leases, moved the battery closer to the Duke and other leases. The battery output was 1,122 ounces of gold from the mines and dumps. Additional drills, a generator and a Wilfley table were purchased. 3 head of stamps, driven by a diesel engine, were erected at the Golden Casket mine in 1938. A new multi-tubular boiler and 5-foot Huntington roller mill were installed at the Black Cat Amalgamated Mine in 1939 by Fisher and Sons. In 1942 the Australian Army dismantled and removed smaller, more portable equipment from the mines and mills of the Wenlock Goldfield. This was to prevent the Japanese from utilizing the mines should they invade. This episode is one of the few examples of the scorched earth policy implemented on the northern part of Cape York Peninsula when invasion seemed imminent. In 1946, in the wake of World War II, the Golden Gate, Reform, Black Cat Amalgamated, Golden Casket, Wasp and Black and White mines were reopened. Joseph Fisher and Sons constructed a road from Portland Roads to Wenlock, which necessitated 7 bridges. Sheds and huts were erected and machinery was installed at the mines. At the Black Cat Amalgamated Mine, a Marshall portable steam engine, a rock drill sharpener, air compressor, air hoist, Blake steam duplex pump and a Worthington steam duplex pump were installed in the re-equipping of the mines. In 1947 Joseph Fisher and Sons purchased Zamet's mines to obtain a complete block. After finishing carting their machinery from Portland Roads Harbor they commenced reconditioning the Black Cat Amalgamated Mine. The first crushing was put through the battery by June 1947 and 239 ounces of gold valued at £2,264 was obtained by the end of December 1947. A total of 517 tons of stone was crushed in the first year for a total return of 296 ounces. And dewatering was commenced and completed down to below the No. 1 level. The main shaft was re-timbered, a new head frame and brace constructed, and a 2,000-gallon tank installed. Also that year the Wasp Syndicate, working on the Edna May extended and Golden Casket leases, produced 520 tons of stone for a return of 349 ounces of gold. The Wenlock was still the best producing field in Cape York in 1949. Although production was far below that of 1,948 to 364 ounces compared to 557 ounces in 1950. 324 ounces of gold were produced from the Black Cat Amalgamated Mine, 47 ounces from Edna May and 26 ounces from the Golden Casket. All the mines were flooded in April when the Wenlock River broke its banks. Dewatering was completed by the end of May by obtaining a mines department pump. Production declined markedly in 1951 to 203 ounces of gold, and there were only the Fishes and one other person mining there. There were only 4 miners there in 1952, the Fishes, George Scowen and Fred Taylor. Fisher and Sons put through 51 tons of Black Cat Amalgamated stone for a return of 2.63 fine ounces, and another 11 tons from underground yielded 14 ounces of gold. 206 tons of dump yielded 27 ounces of gold. The total production amounted to 526 pounds. In 1953, F. H. Taylor, lessee of the Wasp and Edna May Extended, was carrying out improvements. He hired a Southern Cross diesel engine and pump from the mines department preparatory to sluicing the Edna May dump and deepening the Wasp. As noted above, production declined after the 1950 floods due to the lack of suitable pumps, and many workings were abandoned. William Stanley, the last inhabitant from this earlier period, lived at Wenlock until his death in 1957. Prospectors continued fossicking around the old workings, and during 1964-65 the recovery of 2 tons of hand-picked specimen stone yielding 2,787 ounces of gold was reported. In 1986, claim holders used excavators to rework the top camp diggings, and some coarse nugget gold was recovered before the field was abandoned. All evidence of the early Plutoville settlement and top camp workings were lost during this operation. Description: Wenlock Goldfield. The place comprises an area of intensive surface workings, mine shafts, mullock dumps, plant and equipment, and structural foundations. One partly collapsed headframe of bush timber remains over the Golden Casket shaft. A concrete tank and structural foundations to its north indicate the remains of a tailings treatment area. The 3 main areas of surviving plant were associated with Fisher's Black Cat Amalgamated Group of leases, Larson's Consolidated Leases, and Larson's Deep Mine. The remains of the Black Cat Group include several caved shafts, a Marshall portable steam engine, a vertical boiler, a colonial boiler, and a more recent Southern Cross diesel engine. Larson's Consolidated Plant, to the north, is located alongside a large tailings dam site over Tunnel Creek. The area of mill sands extends north for over 200 meters. The Consolidated Plant is centered around a partly intact Huntington Mill, which is seated on a heavy concrete base. A suction gas producer is situated alongside. Larson's Deep Shaft, to the east, includes several small concrete machinery mounts around a caved shaft and a vertical boiler and winch. Scowen's workings, comprising an extensive area of surface diggings, extend east from the area. Extensive surface workings also extend south and west of the described area. A recent hut and campsite is located 150 meters northwest in association with another large area of tailings. Plant equals. Surviving plant at the site includes 1-cylinder portable steam engine, Marshall Sons & Co., Gainsborough and London. 1-cylinder horizontal suction gas engine, Ruston Proctor & Co., Lincoln. Vertical boiler, no brand. Truck chassis with engine, International. Engine No. 437DA. Colonial boiler, no brand. 4-cylinder diesel engine, Southern Cross. Huntington Mill, manufactured by Babcock and Wilcox Limited, Regent Park, N.S.W. Gas producer, Hoskins Limited Co. Makers. Vertical boiler, no brand. 2-cylinder 1-drum winch, no brand. Lower Camp Settlement. The Lower Camp Settlement area is centered on the east bank of the Wenlock River, extending from the vicinity of the grave of Thomas Power 200 meters north of the crossing, for about 1 kilometer northward to the junction of a small creek with the river. The grave of Thomas Power is located on the bank of the Wenlock River and is surrounded by a tube steel rail. It contains a form-cast concrete headstone inscribed, "In memory of Thos Power died 10230. Thomas Power reputedly died in a gunfight in 1930. The settlement area, which extends up to 200 meters east of the riverbank, is profusely covered with large stands of mature mango trees. There is some evidence of campsite surfaces, bottle dumps, fence posts, as well as a large number of 44-gallon drums scattered about the site. A path in garden edging made of upturned beer bottles covering an area of approximately 3 meters by 6 meters is visible in close proximity to a number of mango trees and scattering of fibrous cement strips. About 40 meters north of the beer bottle garden are a series of 6 linear ditch and mound features that run parallel to the riverbank and measure about 13 meters in length. Each ditch is approximately 1 meter wide and its associated mound about 1.5 meters wide. These may provide evidence of a level of self-sustainable agricultural practice, a communal vegetable patch that helped support the residents of this isolated mining settlement. One concrete slab of floor surface is evident in the settlement site, which measures approximately 6 meters by 4 meters and is associated with a metal scatter, but no structures are apparent. However, housing and roofing materials including corrugated iron sheeting and fibrous cement strips, roof capping are scattered throughout the site. An old truck body can also be seen in the Lower Camp Settlement site. Forsyth's Batavia Battery Site. Forsyth's Batavia Battery Site is located on the riverbank at the junction of a small creek, about 1 kilometer northwest of the main Wenlock Lower Camp workings and mill. The site is identifiable by several small concrete engine mounts. No plant or structures remain. Heritage listing. Wenlock Goldfield was listed on the Queensland Heritage Register on 3 March 2006, having satisfied the following criteria. The place is important in demonstrating the evolution or pattern of Queensland's history. Wenlock Goldfield is significant historically as the most productive goldfield on Cape York Peninsula during the Depression years of the early 1930s. Its richness has contributed to constant reworking and fossicking since then. The role of Aborigines, Pluto, Kitty Pluto, Friday Wilson, in discovering and working the mining claims is significant. In addition, Kitty Pluto is the only woman recorded as discovering a goldfield in Queensland. The removal of portable mining machinery from the Wenlock by the Australian Army during World War II is an example of the tactical action of denying the enemy resources which could be useful to an advancing enemy. The place demonstrates rare, uncommon or endangered aspects of Queensland's cultural heritage. Lower Camp Goldfield incorporates a wide range of diversified equipment and is comparable to many examples across the state. Isolation has been a factor in the survival of the plant as there were significant access problems. The Huntington Mill is rare and the most intact of the two recorded in North Queensland. The place has potential to yield information that will contribute to an understanding of Queensland's history. Wenlock Goldfield has the potential to provide valuable information contributing to an understanding of Queensland's history. Analysis of the spatial positioning of dwelling sites in relation to mine workings would provide new information about life at isolated mines on Cape York goldfields in the late 19th and early 20th centuries. The diversified collection of surviving mining plant has the potential to contribute significantly to our understanding of early to mid-20th century gold mining techniques. The place is important in demonstrating the principal characteristics of a particular class of cultural places. Wenlock, Lower Camp, is significant as the focal settlement of the most productive goldfield on Cape York Peninsula. During the 1930s, surviving evidence includes a lone grave, a concrete surface, scatters of housing materials, garden bed edging constructed of beer bottles, remnant vegetable garden, landscaping, and the largest concentration of mango trees recorded in association with a North Queensland mining camp. The place is important because of its aesthetic significance. The place possesses an evocative quality, engendered by the cultural landscape value of remnant workings, and camp remains set within natural bush, which generates aesthetic significance. Attribution. This Wikipedia article was originally based on the Queensland Heritage Register, published by the State of Queensland under CC by 3.0 astronomical units license. Accessed on 7 July 2014. Archived on 8 October 2014. The geo-coordinates were originally computed from the Queensland Heritage Register boundaries, published by the State of Queensland under CC by 3.0 astronomical units license. Accessed on 5 September 2014. Archived on 15 October 2014. Further reading. Fisher, W. J. William Joseph. 1998. Battlers in the Bush. The Batavia Goldfield of Cape York. W. J. and E. Fisher. ISBN 978-0-646-35816-1.